pillars of Stoic wisdom to read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations is to walk through an ancient grove where each tree bears a different fruit of wisdom, yet all are nourished by the same roots. His thoughts, though fragmented and personal, coalesce into a philosophy that is both austere and deeply compassionate, grounded in the principles of Stoicism, but elevated by the unique pressures of his life an emperor's burdens, a soldier's discipline, a mortal's humility. The core themes of his meditations are not abstract theories, but lived truths etched into the parchment of his mind through repetition, struggle, and relentless self-examination. The sovereignty of reason. At the heart of the Meditations lies an unshakable belief in the supremacy of reason, not as a cold, detached logic, but as the divine spark within each person, the fragment of the universal logos that orders all things. Marcus returns again and again to this idea that our true self is not the body, nor the emotions that surge like storm waves, but the faculty of judgment, the inner citadel that cannot be breached unless we surrender it. You are the master of your soul, he reminds himself, even when the world seems chaotic, even when betrayal, war, or plague threaten to unravel the order of his days. This is not a call to suppress emotion, but to see it clearly, to recognize that pain and pleasure are impressions, not commands. A Stoic does not deny suffering, but refuses to be enslaved by it. In one of his most famous passages, Marcus writes, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your own estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment, here in a single stroke." He cuts through the illusion that circumstances dictate our peace. The world may bring storms, but the mind chooses whether to drown or to sail. The discipline of perception, action, and will. Marcus organizes much of his thought around three disciplines: perception, action, and willage, a lens through which to refine one's understanding and conduct. The discipline of perception demands that we see things as they are, stripped of the distortions of fear or desire. A setback is not bad unless we label it so. An insult only wounds if we grant it authority. He counsels himself to view life with the detachment of a physician diagnosing a disease, without panic, without despair, merely observing and responding. The discipline of action calls for right conduct in every moment, regardless of external rewards. An emperor who could indulge every whim instead reminds himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Virtue is not a performance for others, but a private alignment with nature, an unshakable fidelity to justice, temperance, and courage even when no one is watching. The discipline of will or assent is the acceptance of what cannot be changed. Fate, for Marcus, is not a blind force, but the unfolding of a rational universe. To resist it is as futile as a river fighting its current. Yet this surrender is not passivity, is the active embrace of one's role in the cosmic order. What does not transmit light creates its own darkness, he warns. To resent destiny is to live in shadow. To accept it is to walk in light. The view from above. One of the most striking techniques in the Meditations is the view from above, a mental exercise in which Marcus imagines himself rising beyond the confines of his body, beyond Rome, beyond even the earth itself, until all human affairs appear small and fleeting. From this vantage, empires rise and fall like anthills. Quarrels, ambitions, and fears dissolve into insignificance. Think of the universal substance, of which you have a very small portion, he writes, and of universal time, of which a brief and momentary span has been assigned to you. This is not nihilism, but liberation. By confronting the vastness of time and space, Marcus shrinks his ego, his anxieties, his temporal concerns. What remains is the only thing that ever truly mattered: the integrity of his choices. The view from above is both humbling and empowering. It reveals how little control we have over external events, yet how absolute our sovereignty is over our own character. Memento mori, the art of dying before you die, throughout the meditations. Death is not a morbid fixation, but a constant teacher. You could leave life right now, Marcus warns himself. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This is not a threat, but a clarification. Mortality strips away illusions, forces urgency upon procrastination, and reveals the triviality of so much that we chase. The Roman Stoics practiced memento mori, remembering death not to despair, but to live with greater clarity. For Marcus, death is not an end, but a returner, reintegration into the universe. The passing of each moment is a little death. He reflects, reminding himself that every hour, every breath, is a step closer to dissolution. And yet, this awareness does not paralyze him. It sharpens him. If life is short, then there is no time for pettiness, for grudges, for self-deception. The interconnected web of existence, another recurring theme, is the interdependence of all things. Marcus speaks of the universe as a single living organism, each part contributing to the whole. What injures the hive injures the bee, he writes, emphasizing that harm to others is ultimately harm to oneself. This is not mere sentiment, but a metaphysical truth in Stoic thought, since all reason flows from the same logos. To act against another is to act against nature itself. This principle extends to his dealings with difficult people. Rather than condemning them, he reminds himself that they, too, are part of the universal order, acting according to their own flawed understanding. When someone wrongs you, ask yourself, what made them do it? Once you understand, you cannot be angry. Here, Marcus transforms justice into empathy, not by excusing wrongdoing, but by seeing its roots in ignorance. The fire that refines these themes are not mere philosophy. They are the fire in which Marcus tempers his soul. The meditations are not a tranquil sermon, but the working notes of a man in the arena, wrestling with the very human temptations of anger, vanity, and despair. His words are not always serene. Sometimes they are urgent, even stern, as if he is shaking himself awake from the stupor of worldly distractions. And this is why they endure, because they are real, because they are not polished doctrines, but the raw, unfiltered struggle of a man trying to be better.